Mo Brooks, Mo problems. Representative Mo Brooks, who's facing a lawsuit that was filed by Representative Eric Swalwell over his involvement in allegedly inciting the Capitol riots on January 6th, is using a fascinating defense, especially as someone who has been a Trump loyalist. He is essentially blaming Donald Trump for inviting him to take part in the rally that preceded the riots in the Capitol on that day. In fact, the attorney representing Representative Mo Brooks wrote in a court filing, quote, "Brooks only gave the ellipse speech because the White House asked him to in his capacity as a United States congressman. But for the White House request, Brooks would not have appeared at the rally, right? At the ellipse rally." So look, Mo Brooks, what could he do? He's a United States representative. The White House asked him to take part in this rally that helped to incite the Capitol riots. And so he had no choice but to take part and give this disgusting speech.
I'm Congressman Mo Brooks from Alabama's 5th Congressional District, and I've got a message that I need you to take to your heart and take back home, and along the way, stop at the Capitol. The 2020 election is behind us. Today is a time of choosing, and tomorrow is a time for fighting. Today is also a day of revelation and separation. Today, the curtain will be pulled back, and American patriots will learn by their votes which Republican senators and congressmen have the courage to fight for America. Today, by their votes, Americans will learn which Republican congressmen and senators love their bourbon, love their cigars, love their prestige, love their personal power, love their special interest group money more than they love America. Now, our ancestors sacrificed their blood, their sweat, their tears, their fortunes, and sometimes their lives to give us, their descendants, an America that is the greatest nation in world history. So I have a question for you. Are you willing to do the same? My answer is yes. Louder, are you willing to do what it takes to fight for America?
And that went on. Go to the Capitol, stop by the Capitol. Are you willing to fight for America? I would argue that Representative Brooks had a guilty conscience as he was running away from being subpoenaed or served with the lawsuit from Representative Eric Swalwell. You don't do that unless you have a guilty conscience. And now he's literally throwing Donald Trump under the bus in an effort to defend himself in court.
There's so many things I love about that. Look at these Republicans who care more about themselves than they care about fighting for Donald Trump. Oh, I'm getting subpoenaed? No, it was Donald Trump's fault. Now, how's that for deeply ironic? I must also note for the record that I enjoyed his wardrobe change in the middle of the speech. He's like, okay, I've got a new accessory. Let's put this one on.
Right.
And it's red. That's our favorite color. Charge.
And just to be clear, it's a compilation of the parts of his speech that are relevant to this case. It was a 10-minute long speech. Obviously, we're not going to show you the full thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay. So now look, getting serious. I see that speech, and there's one part of it that I like actually, which is that the Republicans actually call each other out, right? They say some folks are corrupt, some people aren't. Democrats never do that, and it's actually terrible.
Some of these Republicans like their bourbon, which by the way, I like bourbon too.
Yeah, and there's no way Mo Brooks doesn't like bourbon either.
Yeah.
But like, okay, finish the thought though, and they take lobbyist money. And Mo, do you take lobbyist money? And so I haven't looked into it for the purpose of this story. I would be shocked if he didn't, but okay, but we'll, that's for another day, we'll look into it and etc. right? But at least he's calling out people within his party. If Democrats did that without all the weirdo violence that went along with it on January 6th, and said, yeah, there are other Democrats and they take corporate lobbyist money, and yeah, they love the perks, and yeah, they're corrupt. That would actually lead to a lot of change. But the Democrats, unfortunately, in this case, never break ranks. So they always like, if one of us is corrupt, None of us will ever say it. Okay, so now it's a funny random thing to say in the middle of this, but it's important.
No, I want to jump in on that. You're right. I mean, the frustrating thing about progressive Democrats specifically, because they're supposed to represent, that wing of the Democratic Party is supposed to represent the best interests of progressives like us. And the gloves are almost never on. The gloves are always off, right? It's almost as if they try to put the glove on, it doesn't fit, they must have quit. Like, just put the gloves on and fight. In this case, though, I mean, it's just hilarious because the Republican lawmakers who just wanted to carry out the right behavior in certifying the election for the person who actually legitimately won the election, like money in politics has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Nothing, you know?
Yeah, look, I hope it's Nina Turner, ninaturner.com/hello. But if there's no progressive that ever says, guys, no, money in politics is terrible. Everybody says that, nobody ever does anything about it. Citizens United is terrible, we all say it, but we don't do anything about it. That one takes money, that one takes corporate money, that one took $760,000 in drug company money and healthcare insurance money to vote against Medicare for all. See, that would make all the difference. You don't have to get violent, you don't have to be a weirdo, you don't have to do a wardrobe change. You just have to say what's right, what's true, right?
Yep.
So if the Republicans were actually honest and decent and they were challenging their own corrupt members, I would be here for it, even if I massively disagreed with Mo Brooks on everything else, right? But at the end of the day, they didn't do that. Instead, they were like, oh, let's break things. Let's go into the Capitol and cause violence and talk about executing people. So finally, the most relevant part here is, look, I don't know what was in Mo Brooks's mind. I'm curious what you think, Anna. Like, did he think if I tell him to fight enough times, and if I tell him to go to the Capitol enough times, maybe they'll break the windows and break the doors and assault the police and go try to murder Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi? Or was he just like, I don't know, I'll just rile them up and see what happens. I don't really care, right?
Well, okay, I think that's actually an excellent question, because while I very much despise Republican politicians who have lied to the American people repeatedly about what actually transpired during the 2020 election, I do not believe that Mo Brooks or any other member of the Republican Party, maybe there's a few exceptions, I don't know. But my sense is they really thought that they could use that type of inflammatory language and incite what they incited without actually seeing it play out in real time.
Yeah.
And it did, right? I have to be honest, if I had watched that speech in real time, I would not have predicted that these rioters would do what they did that day.
Yeah, I agree. And so let me make another important distinction. So Mo Brooks does the rah, rah, rah. And I think his number one problem, along with most of the other people there that day that were speakers, not all, but most, were that they don't quite realize how violent their own voters are. That, we showed you that poll, 28% of Republican voters say it might be time for violence. Obviously they did this, and some people now, I think, realize the potential for violence and are still egging it on. Tucker Carlson. Okay, but I think a lot of people are like, whoa, I didn't think they were actually gonna go and assault people. I didn't think they were gonna bring nooses and try to hang our own vice president, right? But Mo Brooks has never said that. Mo Brooks has been like, yeah, I didn't do anything wrong. And of course, when his ass is actually on the line in court, he goes, it was Donald Trump. It wasn't me, it was Donald Trump, it was Donald Trump. But by the way, now the last piece of this irony is, I agree with him, it was Donald Trump, right? So Donald Trump didn't make him go give the speech, to be absolutely accurate. His claim is Trump made me do the speech. No, he didn't, you did the speech on your own, right? But the one guy who knew they were doing violence could have stopped it and chose not to. So has the guilty intent is Donald Trump. Kevin McCarthy called him from inside Congress, said we're being assaulted. They're in the building and they're doing violence. Please make them stop. And according to another Republican who overheard the conversation, Trump said, hey, maybe they care more about this election than you did, Kevin. So he knew they were going to do violence and that they might kill people. He was asked to send the National Guard and he didn't. And then he told the leader of the Republicans in the House, I'm not gonna send for help, when he knew the violence had already happened and was in the middle of happening. So ultimately, there is one person deeply responsible, that's Donald Trump. And by the way, the Republican Party has seen all of that, the Republican voters. And they said, yeah, we like it. We like that he caused this violence and maybe we'd like more of it. That's why he's still by far and away the leader of the Republican Party in polls #1 in almost every poll, when Republicans are asked, who's your leader? They say, Donald Trump, the guy who encouraged the Capitol riots, not just before, but during the violence. That's our boy. So now we'll get a story later in the program for you guys, but now they're talking about doing, taking over the government in August. I think the whole country's not getting it. There are tons and tons of right-wingers in this country that cannot wait to do that kind of violence again.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.